Yeah, make sure that one works. I was messing it all up from upstairs before, so.
Anybody have a question? Here you go. Dr. Birdsall.
Thank you for all of your talks, and I appreciate it. I'm struck by the repetition of curiosity and fear, and I'm curious how you think those ideas interact or counter one another.
You may want to jump in on that.
The question was curiosity and fear.
I can start. I feel like curiosity. Okay, cool. I feel like curiosity is right on the other side of fear. It's like right there. If you can just step over that, then you can really enjoy curiosity and all that it brings. I feel like when we're children, curiosity is encouraged, but as soon as you get into like junior high, that like goes away. It's all the standard, and read this book and talk about this. There's no room for it, which is what I really like about college, because you have the ability to really explore curiosity and like what that means to you and like how to do that. And then that goes away once you graduate. So you really have to foster like how to do that now so that you can utilize it when you get older. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Anyone else?
I agree with what Mynk just said. No, I wholeheartedly agree. I think that, as I mentioned before, you have to be brave in order to be curious. And I think fear is one of those things that really does hold a lot of us back. You know, we talked earlier about, you know, hospitality and welcoming your neighbors and not being afraid. And at our table, we talked about how most people in the room, or maybe, you know, around, I know a lot of parents that I know, they would say wholeheartedly, oh wow, it's way more dangerous now than it was 20 years ago. But statistically, it's not. But I think that culture of fear has grown into where people really are afraid, like, oh, you know, I knew neighbors move in, but I don't want to go like say hi to them. So I think that overcoming that fear and then being curious, and curious sometimes can help, I think, overcome the fear. If you can let that curiosity come through, it makes, I think, meeting new people easier. Because you can ask them questions and then try to see like, oh, okay, well, this is not, you know, and it kind of relieves your fear if you can get going on asking the questions and getting to know somebody.
No, I think I did.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I think that barrier to fear, if I just talk loud, am I okay?
Yeah.
I think that barrier to fear is really something that once you start being curious, you find out how low it is. You know, we think it's this huge barrier, and it's really just something we just need to step across. And maybe just even a line that we've drawn for ourselves. So thank you for that. Someone else have a question that we wanted to get to?
Hi. Thanks again for presenting tonight and all that stuff. I think that's what you have to do when you stand up and ask questions. My question is kind of related to the fear thing. I was thinking a lot about how, you know, a lot of these tribal attitudes and stuff that people have, it has to do with wanting to feel safe and having some sort of sense of security. And a lot of your stories have similarities in them where, and Bob Goff and, you know, these other guys, where you have to step into a situation that makes you feel vulnerable or whatever. My question to you guys is, are you giving up your security, or where have you found your new security in that allows you to step in to those uncomfortable situations in order to accomplish that?
So where have you seen that you have found, kind of gone past that fear, and then have found new ways to feel comfortable and to feel secure?
I think I really found that in other people, ironically. I think it's really sad that we have lost the ability to find security within each other, but that's like what we were created for, is to be together. You know, we belong to each other, many parts, one body, right? And so I am able to do things like this and step out because of my family and the professors and the faculty and my friends that encouraged me to do this, because Brian asked me to. Like, I wouldn't have volunteered for this. Like, I was terrified. So I think that's where it comes from. I truly believe that God speaks to us through other people, and if you are open to that, then you'll really see Him like working. And if we can find that security in each other, it'll create just such a beautiful environment. So if we can do that, that would really be the power of me right there.
I would just add, I think from a Christian perspective, the biblical passage that comes to mind is the idea that perfect love casts out fear. And I think there's so much fear in our society today. Closer is better. It drives so much of the societal divisions that there are. People are afraid of people who are different from them. They're afraid of feeling uncomfortable. They're afraid of terrorism. They're afraid of violence, even when, as you said, often not based in actual facts. I mean, we do a lot with refugees at World Relief. A lot of people are terrified of refugees, somehow have this association with terrorism. There's been 3 million refugees resettled to this country since 1980, and not a single one of them has taken an American life in a terrorist attack. But the rumors that there might be, or maybe someday someone would, is enough to change federal policies to keep people out and restrict people, and it's all driven by fear. And I think we have something more powerful than that for those of us who are Christians, because we believe that perfect love casts out fear. When Jesus told us to love our neighbor as ourselves, the example he gave was the Good Samaritan. This guy goes, sees someone beaten up on the side of the road and stops and helps them. And it was dangerous to do that. He was on a dangerous road, but his faith was in something bigger than just thinking about myself and my fear. Dr. King once said, the other people in that story, the priest and the Levite, go down the road and they ask the question, what will happen to me if I stop? But the Samaritan asks the question, what will happen to this guy if I don't?
I would just add as well that I think recognizing that you have the fear is kind of one of the first things that's helped me. When I'm in a situation, I think, and I have that self-awareness, and I think, and I recognizing that I have the fear, then it's much easier for me to take this step forward when I can say, I'm having this fear, this is not based on truth, I have nothing, then it helps me to empower me to kind of move forward as well, because I remember to, be brave and have faith that moving forward is going to be the right thing to do, so.
Great, thank you. And I think that for me, when I read Scripture, there's this theme that comes up over and over and over, which is when God shows up in a situation, one of the first things that's said is, don't be afraid. That's the first thing over and over again. Fear not. Do not be afraid. And I think if we can internalize that and know that fear can be that next step is where God is going to show up, then we can go ahead and say, okay, don't be afraid. Fear not. Here we go.
And that is so countercultural, because we don't, greet people by saying on their way out the door, be not afraid. We say, be careful. Take care. When we should say, take courage. Those are the biblical commands for us, but I think we have something of an idol of safety and security, even when it's based on a misconception of what that is.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more then. And I'm going to look towards the back. I see you here, but a chance. Okay, go ahead. Wait a minute.
Oh, wow.
Finally, I got students who raised their hand. I knew they would eventually, but right at the last second. But I know that folks will be here afterwards too if we didn't get to take your question here. Well, be mad at me because I did it. I'll take it.
That's Ibrahim.
So my question is for Mynk, and thank you guys for sharing the story. Very amazing. So what was the reaction from your coaches and teammates after you protested, regardless of their objection, and how have you recovered from it as a team?
So, that is something that we are still in the process of recovering from, believe it or not. It was weird how that season went because on the field, we were fantastic. We made it second place in conference. We broke countless records on the field. But off the field, there was just a lack of understanding. There was a lack of recognizing one's own privilege. When I said, I sat there and I looked at my all-white team, they weren't seeing that. They were just seeing, here's this person that wants to cause trouble and do this protest. And so after that team meeting, it was essentially a series of microaggressions that followed. So I took my knee and some of my teammates would run up in front of me when I was taking my knee, or just little tiny things, and unfortunately that's what happens when you decide to take a stand. I think that happens anytime you are the minority and you do something to kind of stir up the majority. There's going to be a little bit of a reaction, but I think that's where curiosity, bravery comes in, and really having that passion for like fighting for what you believe in. And I think also having the capacity to forgive people when they